other part of it, which is a useful tool. Now, I'm sure that when you guys were younger, you might have heard once upon a time, something happened, then something happened, then something happened, right? B schools love to know more about you as a person. So what do? They will ask you some questions. Like for example, they'll say, "Tell me a time when." Okay, and most of these questions will start like that. So what can it be? So for example, a question can be like this: Tell me a time when you had the biggest failure in your life. Tell me a time when you had the biggest commitment you've ever made. Then, or it could be, tell me a time when you had to manage a team that wasn't performing well. Okay, and things like that. So for those kind of things which demand you to talk about an incident, what you can do is you can use something called as a STAR framework. And what does the STAR stand for? The S stands for the context. Okay. So, for example, tell me a time when you won the the gold medal. So then, what do you say? Like there and so on. No? So, especially when you want to talk about problems or challenges that you face in your life, this is a very good framework that you can use. So, I'll give you an example. Tell me a time when you had the biggest failure in your life. So, in that time, what will you say? You will say, this was I was leading a team. Okay, we were supposed to submit the project by 2 days, but we didn't do it. So what happened, right? Because of it, there was a big delay. Okay, and what were the challenges? We had to get some data for this project, and this data was not coming. Another team had promised it, they had not given, so we were left. So we couldn't deliver on time. So that is a challenge. So then you should tell like what is the task to be done. So for example, in the example, you can say that, the data didn't come through. So we had to collect the data. So that was a problem. We had to collect the data in probably 1/4 of the time that it typically takes for it. And we had to do it really fast also. And we had to get the project done. So that is the task that was supposed to be done. Okay. Now, what action did you take? So because we had to collect the task, what we did is we involved other team members also and made sure that everybody was pitching in order to finish this task. Okay, and then what is the result that you achieve? We finally managed to somehow finish the whole project on time, and the client was very happy. Right, and then what will you say? What will you learn from the experience? You can say that, hey, you know what I learned? That when it comes to teamwork, we also need to have accountability. We also have to work as a team, and I learned to trust my team, and so on. Okay, that's the kind of thing. So, the STAR framework is essentially like telling a story. All right, and the story is very simple, which is that, hey, this is a situation. This is what we are supposed to do. This is what we actually did, and finally, thankfully, this is the result we achieved. And from doing this, I have learned this. Okay, so this is a beautiful example. Now, what I want you guys to do is, can you quickly tell me about what was the probably like the like a failure or something, the biggest failure of your life? You don't have to write the entire thing in 200 words or something. Give me like a 3-liner, 4-liner right now, quickly. So, what is like the biggest failure that you consider? All right, I'm just waiting for your answers. Okay, they're coming in. Thank you. Okay, example is I failed to achieve my targeted score in an exam. Yeah, that's also a very valid point. Another example is I had a backlog. My academic achievement wasn't so great, so I had to come back. Okay, that's also a great thing. See, for example, to give you the like example of how will you write if you have like the backlog in your life, right? What you can say is, I had a situation in which I had to achieve a backlog, for whatever reason. So what would I have to do? I had just 6 months in which I have to like make sure and ensure that I got an A plus in the same exam. So what action did you take? I took some additional courses. I got the help from the people who did really well in the exam before. I attended the additional office hours from the professors. I took help from the professor in order to understand the subject better. I attended practical exams for it. Okay, and then what were the results? I finally went and sat for the exam. What were the results? I did really well this time. And what did you learn from the experience? I learned that perseverance and also trying to understand what it takes for achieving a task was super important for me. And I was able to also like gain the self-discipline that was required. Okay, so that's like a good example. Okay. Another great example here is the biggest failure I consider is for preparing for IIT JEE for 3 years and still not getting in. So that is one of the things that we consider as a failure. Yeah, perfectly fine. Okay. So for such kind of, not only that, so you might say, hey, am I going to use this only for failure? No. Whenever someone is asking you about, give me an example of when you were the, you know, of when you had a bad time with your boss, okay? Or give me an example of when you were impressed by your leader, okay? Or give me an example of your favorite, moment, right? And so on. So whenever there are things that people are asking you to describe, or like even some incidents or other things that are happening, this star framework is something that you can really use, especially for preschool applications. All right.